Alright, we just had a new trailer for Season 2 of The Witcher show on Netflix during Witchercon, so let me give you a breakdown as well as my impressions of the things we saw in the trailer. But first, let me warn you that there are going to be some massive spoilers about the books and potentially Season 2 of the show, so tread carefully. Okay, we open up with a scene between Geralt and Ciri, likely traveling to Kaer Morhen and talking about how she's much more than his destiny.
You're much more than that, Cirilla.
Which is a little hollow, considering they removed the part which makes it much more than destiny in Season 1, but I don't wish to go into a rant about that immediately, so let's move on.
The world is changing.
So they travel some more and finally they get to Kaer Morhen. Or is this perhaps the place where Nivellen and Vereena are met? I think the latter is a bit more likely. We know that they are somehow doing the Grain of Truth short story in this season, and even though Ciri is not originally part of it, I suppose Netflix decided to include her. And if that's the case, this here is likely one of Vereena's victims. Anyway, we finally arrive at Kaer Morhen. What's more, we see a whole bunch of people inside. Now, in the books, there is Geralt, Cohen, Eskel, Lambert, and Vesemir, so that's 5 people in addition to Ciri, and then Triss comes in later. But here we have even more, so it seems they created a couple of new characters, potentially new Witchers, who will be introduced in the next season.
Who the hell are you?
We see Geralt training, Ciri having some prophetic dreams perhaps. We see what I can only assume is the armory at Kaer Morhen, and then, without a doubt, we have the sword designs from The Witcher 3. A bit of a cross-promotion, I suppose. They did also confirm that the Netflix armor for Geralt will be included in the next-gen edition for The Witcher 3. Next up, Ciri's training at Kaer Morhen begins, which, by the way, does not last for as long as some people think. Those who have only played the games sometimes assume that Ciri spent a large portion of her life with Geralt, but actually she wasn't at Kaer Morhen for that long. Off the top of my head I can't recall the exact period, but I think it's like a year and a half? It may even be less in the show, actually.
Enough. Get down.
With a flip?
What do you think?
Anyway, we cut to a book shout-out, and we get Vereena in bat form. When I saw this, I went...
I was really hoping you were going to fully commit to that.
This is probably what I'm most excited about in Season 2. I loved that story in the books, and I hope they do it right. They also announced a comic book about it, didn't they?
A postmodern take of Beauty and the Beast. Our comic book adaptation will stay true to the roots of the short story, as we aim to bring this beautiful tale to new audiences and continue to expand the Witcher universe. But for now, that's it from me.
Then there is this talk about running away, and later we have shots of something bad happening at Kaer Morhen, which is likely referring to the Leshen attacking the fortress. This doesn't happen in the books, but I think something along those lines was leaked earlier this year, and a Leshen was also teased during Witchercon, so it could be that. Also, rumor has it that the Leshen actually kills Eskel in the show, which is so sad, because, you know, he will never get to do the things he does in the games.
Fuck yeah! Summon the bitches!
What else do we have? We see Ciri with these women, which is likely all the way towards the end of the book, in the Temple of Melitele, I think, after she leaves Kaer Morhen to find Yennefer.
Who is Yennefer?
Yennefer of Vengerberg is a common thief!
A brief shot of some Nilfgaardians, this time with improved armor. We have this... which again, I assume is Vereena. Could it be someone she kills before Geralt shows up? If so, showing that might be a bad choice, but we'll have to wait and see. Next, Tissaia is shouting for Yennefer. Probably because she's missing after the Battle of Sodden. We heard leaks that she's apparently kidnapped by the pregnant Franceska, and then she's woken up by Fringilla, who apparently is also involved in the whole pregnant kidnapping. Again, we'll have to wait and see before I can say more about that. We briefly see Nivellen himself, albeit from behind, as well as Dara, For a moment I thought he died, but he actually just ran off somewhere. And then there's also this scene of Ciri meeting a hooded, red-haired woman. I would naturally assume that that's Triss arriving at Kaer Morhen. However, first, her hair was not that red in Season 1, unless they decided to dye it a little bit. And second, we have seen her plenty of times already in the show, yet they seem to be going for a kind of mysterious vibe here. So unless they are bringing Geralt's mother again, or an entirely new character, I'd say that has to be Triss. And speaking of Triss, I wonder if we're gonna see something romantic going on between her and Geralt. For the briefest moment during the trailer, we see this scene. A woman in a green dress holding someone's hand, possibly Geralt's. And Triss did wear a green dress in the previous season. It's not actually the same as far as I can tell, but it could still be Triss. By this point in the books, prior to her arrival at Kaer Morhen, there should have already been something between her and Geralt. However, the show did not go in that direction, despite including Triss in earlier stories for no apparent reason. It's something that has always puzzled me, so perhaps they decided to do that now? It's probably a little late at this point. Apparently they're also doing Shard of Ice in this season, the whole love triangle between Yennefer, Geralt and Istrid. So I have no idea how and when they're gonna fit all of this, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. And speaking of Yennefer, there's a surprisingly low amount of content about her in this trailer. If you think about it, she was more or less the main character of Season 1. She had so much more screen time during that part of the story compared to the books, and yet she's barely in this trailer. So what is actually happening? Are we suddenly shifting away from her onto other characters? Will they completely change her involvement with the whole kidnapping part? We know that Rians, or however his name is pronounced, will be in the show, so will he encounter Yennefer early on as it happens in the books? How will that fit with Franceska and Fringilla? I suppose it's possible that the kidnapping part happens earlier in the timeline, immediately after Sodden, before Geralt and Ciri even arrive at Kaer Morhen, and then she goes free once again and meets Rians and Dandelion? All good questions, I guess. If any of you has any guesses, I'd be happy to hear them. And let's not forget that this season should also get into Yennefer and Ciri's relationship as well. We know they will have screen time together. I think the actress for Yennefer mentioned it during Witchercon.
The most exciting thing for me was just getting to know what it's like to work with Freya and see what that dynamic was.
Yet sadly, none of that is in the trailer. But then again, they didn't show the Wild Hunt either, and we know for a fact that they will be in Season 2, so I guess we have a lot to look forward to. Anyway, with that, I believe we're done. Let me know what you think of this Season 2 trailer, and feel free to correct me if you think I was wrong in identifying what's going on in here. And if not, well, I thank you very much for watching. Special thanks to my supporters and YouTube members, and until the next video, stay tuned and be good.
60, 70, 80, 90, and that makes an even 100. That is all of it. Initial here, please.